SAB makes the most diverse, sophisticated, and differentiated range of lagers by a country mile, not even close.
So from there, you want to move to the Castle Lite, or you want to talk about double malt?
I think I'd like to mess around a little bit and just show you that the differentiator now with Castle Lite and Castle.
And why was Castle Lite developed?
So at the time when Castle Lite was developed, there was this move, the so-called low-carb move. And some of our competitors and partners like Miller and others had Miller High Life, and then they also had Miller Lite. It became quite a big thing. And the word light, L-I-T, was defined as low in total energy. So there's low carb, low energy, wada.
Right.
The difficulty when you make products like that is if you're using 5 spades of good raw material to make a beer,
right,
and you then make a 5% beer, then you need 4 spades to make a 4% beer.
Okay.
So there's less flavor potentially.
Okay.
And I believe in Castle Lite, we've compensated, not on taste, but we've compensated on mouthfeel. And I can explain this. I'm just going to clean this glass.
Tell me about Castle Lite. You just poured
Castle Lite is bone dry. So the coarse crisp fraction is up, but we can't drag the succulence along because it's bone dry. So now bone dry is here. Now, how do we fix that?
Tell me.
The functional necessity of the cold, the whole cold and the snowflake. When it's ice cold,
right,
that works.
Oh.
So the marketing guys had a great idea with owning the cold property, but I, as a trade brewer, and the rest of the trade brewers were very quick to point out that's a great idea, but it's also a functional necessity. So Castle Lite at some of the overseas tastings, if we send Castle Lite to an overseas tasting and they're pouring these little 50 ml samples 10 minutes before you sit down, that Castle Lite's already at 8 degrees. It doesn't work, and Castle Lite is going to struggle unless we own the tasting property and make sure that a brand new ice cold sample gets into somebody's hand. But if that's the case, then some other brewer will say, but I want my beer to be warm, and then somebody else. So you've got to have some kind of a level playing field.
Right.
But in a way, because I'm concentrating on these mouthfeel issues, I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. Now, cold and hot, that's also a mouthfeel, it's not a taste. And there's things like we get onto milk stout later on.
Yeah.
Sugars like lactose, even though the beer is ice cold, feel warm on the tongue. So that's another dimension, apparent and real temperature.
Right.
But in Castle Lite's case,
the colder the better.
It must be cold.
There was also some marketing about cold brewed or something.
In order to accentuate and to demonstrate, especially we have some of the tours like Elroad and Boston are busy reopening so we can show people.
Right.
All our beers receive a subzero lagering, but it's good to highlight it.
Right.
We even have this thermochromic labeling on where the beer, if the temperature's right, the blue would show up and the snowflake would just keep on playing talkie that listen, this is cold, this is cold, this is cold.
Extra cold.
Yeah, and I think that's not misleading at all.
And consumers got extra cold as well.
Yeah,
they got
exactly
that. Yeah.
So you need to get it, and you need to get it. You need to see it, and you need to know why it's important. And I think we've done it quite well with that.
Beautiful. Easy takes another glug.
Yeah, so Castle Lite, I find, just like the Hansa.
Yeah.
So funny enough, I like things that are dry and not so sweet.
Right.
But the Castle sweetness comes through as succulence.
Right.
Which is a massive mouthfeel positive on thing for me. So personally, these bone dry beers, that includes some of the German beers, which are supposed to be the best in the world, and some of them are absolutely amazing. I prefer Castle's succulence to this bone dry. But this is great when it's ice cold. I will glug this like anybody's business. But I have personal preferences.
Right.
But I've made sure that I develop myself that I can support anybody else's preference with what's going on. I don't just sort of, why would you want that beer kind of thing. I stopped drinking that 20 years. That's got nothing to do with my personal preference. I need to make sure I'm up with being able to explain. Exactly. I mean, we've even had tastings where competitors have shown that this is what they like, and we're having a few beers after a tasting. If I can't convince that person to try my liquid, I will definitely I'll try his liquid. I won't go and drink the whole thing, but I will show that I will come down to base level and I will enjoy a beer with them.
Right.
But I'm a SAB supporter because we make incredible lagers for a large brewing company. You can quote this. I quote this at all my tastings.
Right.
For a large brewing company, not a small chap, a large brewing company, SAB makes the most diverse, sophisticated, and differentiated range of lagers by a country mile, not even close. So good guys like Boston, and they've got 2 good lagers, but they basically a slightly larger craft brewery. So there's 1 or 2 guys that have got 1 or 2 liquids that are exceptional.
Yes.
But for a range, we just, and we jealously guard that. I'm sure that's part of why ABM have bought us out. They could see that we were very serious about beers. And we've got a lot of gold medal champions amongst this crowd.